And we want this to be a conversation, not just a lecture. We don't want to lecture. You guys are all really good at this already, all right? And what we're doing today is to share some best practices on community. I mean, here, I'll start it by saying this, is that when I get in a room, why don't we just do it right now? When I get a room full of people, I say, describe Burn Boot Camp in one word, 3, 2, 1, go. And that happens every time. So we're going to continue to triple down, quadruple down. What's after quadruple?
Quintuple.
Quintuple down on community, how to facilitate community, how to do so through the fitness product, and continue to do that. And we're never, ever going to be good enough at it. We're never going to be perfect, but we're going to continue to strive to take this community to new heights, because that's what makes us different. Universally, unanimously, everybody says the same word. No matter what setting I'm in, if it's Burn Boot Camp people, it's what, one word, 3, 2, 1, go. Community of like 80% of the people, and then the other 20% who are introverts were thinking about it, they just didn't say it out loud.
So one thing I find as a coach is that words are really important. So I'd like to hear from you guys, what does community actually mean to you? When you say that word community, what does it mean?
I think of togetherness.
Togetherness.
Okay. What else? Supporting each other. Okay. Acceptance. Trust. Anything else? How do you guys show up at those things in your gyms?
How does togetherness show up? Right? Can we be together if we don't know names? Let's do an exercise right now, today. Be honest with yourself. We can be honest in these settings. If there's a camp that we've trained or worked in the last week, which we didn't know somebody's name, and we knew it, and we still didn't do anything about it. Raise your hand if that happened. Okay. Everybody, pretty much. Think about that. It's like togetherness. Okay. No man left behind. It goes back to that. No man left behind. Is there a new member today that we know we haven't got to? It's 36 minutes into their first camp. We don't know their name yet. What are we going to do? What, yeah, exactly, right? We go get it. That's togetherness. Okay. That we just don't leave a man behind. That's will be my definition of togetherness, is, or woman. I don't mean to say man like in that way. There's no person left behind, right? We bring everybody along for the ride, regardless of their preconceived notions, where they come from, how they look, how they dress, whether we perceive they can afford it or not, whether they have a grumpy face or an excited face, it doesn't matter. We pull everyone along. Everybody's together. What was the second one? Who said the second?
Acceptance.
Acceptance. What's that mean? You said that. Yeah.
No judgment. Showing up as you are, not trying to be anything but yourself.
I love that.
How do you show that to somebody else?
Just welcoming everyone, treating everybody the exact same. Everyone gets the same love, attention, experience as the next person.
Okay. How many of you actually take camp in your gyms? Awesome.
Yes.
Do you have a core group of people that you work out with all the time? Yeah? Do you come in the same camp all the time? No? Okay, good. Find that person. How many of you are front row girls? Guys?
I'm a girl.
Yeah?
I'm a front row girl.
Front row girl? Yeah. How many of you are back row? Back row? Right. I challenge you next camp to switch it up. Get to know the people on the other side. That's what we're talking about here, that no person left behind. So that you get to know what it feels like up there, you get to know what they're experiencing, and you get to know those people on those separate sides. Because it's all one side. It's all one floor.
And we don't need to say no judgment zone to have a no judgment zone. And in fact, by saying no judgment zone, inherently you are judging some people. Right? And we all know who that is. And I'm not here to talk down on any companies, but that's the spot we want. That's the top spot. The only way we get there is not by low memberships. We get there by togetherness and acceptance and bringing everybody along for the ride with us. What was the third one? There was one more.
Trust.
Trust. Who said trust? And your name is again what? Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Got it.
Doing what you say you're going to do.
Do what you say you're going to do. If you're going to text them when they don't show up, and that's the way you sell them when they get in, you better do that. Right? You better do that, because integrity was one of our four core values. I said it once. Did anybody catch what they are? Does anybody know them by heart? Because like that's part of all this, right? Core values is how you behave, what you say yes to and what you say no to, how you treat other people. And you have the core values of the company inside of you because you're here and you believe in it. Who knows what they are? There's 4 of them.
Pride and results, authenticity, integrity, people first.
Perfect. I love it. I would say perfect, but I'm going to rescind that and say really, really good. Put people first as number 1. People first is number 1. People first means the visions of other people. We seek the visions of the people that are on our teams and in our communities, and we do everything in our human potential to help that person reach their vision. That's very different than what most companies do in the hiring process. Hey, you've got talent, skill, and ability. You can help me reach my goals. You're hired. Versus, hey, what are your goals? You've got talent, skill, and ability. If we apply that to your goals, you're going to help the company reach its goals through your lens. Fundamental 180. You see that? That's a byproduct of togetherness, acceptance, inclusion, trust, is knowing that. Who's been able in the last, let's say 60 days or 90 days or however far you can remember back, who's had somebody ask them that question? Raise your hand and be honest. Something along the lines of what's your vision, what's your future, what's it look like for you, what do you want, what do you desire, where are you going down the road in the next 90 days, 6 months? Who's actually had somebody ask them that? Raise your hand, please. I'm glad my team's all raising their hand, because that's something I pride myself in as a leader, is understanding the vision and motivation of everyone at all times. And if you don't, that's what feeling heard actually is. When people are able to relate to you their visions and their desires and their goals and their dreams. And like 20% of you raised your hand. Now raise your hand if you'd like somebody to ask you that, so that you can tell somebody that you care about what you're thinking, what you have been thinking about for the past 6 months, year. Well, raise your hand if you'd like somebody to ask you that. Right? So we need to know that that's a gap in society, and togetherness to me means filling that gap. Every member should have an opportunity to relate to you, your team, someone on your team, what their visions, what their goals, what their aspirations are. When they come in, it's the first time we get to do that, right? If you're showing them the transformation wall and the bathroom and the colors on the wall and the equipment we have, and you're taking them through like the features, even the benefits to the features is a miss. We can talk about all that stuff later. I can tell you about the features and the benefits, but what I really care about is wanting to know your heart and soul and what drove you to come here and see us today, because that's what we care about. How much different is that? So you want to close people, stop showing them your amenities. You want them to feel together, you want them to feel accepted and included, stop showing them amenities when they come in. Show them your heart, because that's what people, even people that aren't psychologically sound or know the principles of psychology, they can feel your frequency. They can feel your energy. They just know whether it's a good energy or a bad energy. And they'll say, I don't know what it is about this place. You guys have heard this, right? I don't know what it is about this place, but I've never liked working out ever in my life before, and I'm obsessed with this. What is that thing? Right? Togetherness, acceptance, inclusion, trust.
How many of you watched the Burn Sales Academy? What does MASK mean?
Motivation, accountability, structure, knowledge.
You know this stuff better than the dynamic setup stuff, bro. You just doing that in your sleep or what? No, I'm kidding. I know.
Because he sat in my Burn You.
Did he? Yeah. You're so great at it,
I know, it's fine. How do we find those things out? Asking open-ended questions. Can you ask open-ended questions if you're just walking around talking about amenities and bathrooms and child watch? No. So what are questions that you ask? What open-ended questions are working for you guys to find out somebody's mask? Why are you here?
What's
Okay.
your life to look like?
Ooh, that's a good one. You guys hear that?
Oh, yeah. What do you want
What do you want your life to look like? I like that one.
Okay. What else?
I always use this because I'd ask what's, and I know you're asking them, not me, but I'd ask why, and sometimes they'd still give you the fitness, they'd give you the tone, I want to get toned, I want to get fit, I want to give some whatever, they give you some superficial goal, and I'd always go, no, and I'd do this motion here, and no, what's in your heart? And I'd do that in like that tonality, and then they're like, oh, I get it. He wants to know like actually what I think.
Or you can just be a toddler and just say, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, you could do that.
Why?
Uh-huh.
Why? Tell me more. How will it make you feel when? Right? When we're talking about this stuff from a sales point of view, is it going to help you sell more memberships? Hopefully, yes. But what we're really trying to get you to do is build community. Because when you build that community, then the answer is obvious. You want to join us? God, yeah. I'm not going to find this anyplace else. Right? How often, though, are you guys practicing this together?
Once a week, never a week. Once a month, never a month.
Like when Devin brought, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. Yeah, Cassidy. When Devin brought Cassidy up and asked her to do the demo, how often are you guys doing that with mask and practicing what you're going to say?
Practice reps. Practice reps.
Never?
Once
Not
a week.
enough? Once enough? Not enough?
We're practicing doing it, but we're not practicing it.
Like in
Ooh.
a setting like this, right?
Practice.
Right? How many people are on this floor right now?
26.
26? That
Yeah,
was really
sure.
quick. Okay. Your gyms are not that far apart. If you guys are getting
28.
stale,
Sorry.
that was really impressive,
Yeah,
by the
that's
way.
close. I like to eyeballing camps for 10 years. So you kind of get a ballpark. Doesn't work with time apparently, but works with people.
No. I'm going to get you an engraved watch.
I know. Just put it
Just
like
like-
project it on the wall somewhere. I'll figure it out later.
Your gyms aren't that far apart, right? If your practice reps are getting stale, one of the first places that you can build community is with each other, right?
That's good.
Come together.
That's good. That's true.
Do blue carpet experience checklists with each other. Do team meetings together. You don't have to have Devin and the HQ team here to get together and do training. How many of you think you have rockstar BAs? Right? How many of you think you have rockstar trainers? Rockstar Child Watch team members? Hell yeah, right? Get them on the floor and let them feel like they are part of your community. How many Child Watch team members do we have here today? Big fat 0, right? Yeah. Do you think that's okay?
Do they want to be included just as much as you? Probably. How does it make them feel when they're not included? Aren't they just as important? Doesn't Timmy and Tommy, when they come in, doesn't their representation of Burn Boot Camp help sell memberships?
Who's at Burn because we have free Child Watch?
I go to Burn because of Child Watch because my kids
Yeah.
drag me there.
Yeah. I started in 2016 in TK, walking in with 2 car seat carriers because I'm a twin mom. And my best friend was like, they have free childcare. Come on. I don't care if you work out, it's 45 minutes without the kids. Come on. Right?
Just stand there. Just stand there. You don't even have to do anything.
Right? They didn't let me. Antigone did
Yeah,
not
of
let
course.
me just stand there.
That's a way to get you in until you're actually there.
But you can't have a team meeting without all of your team. And so I would start, when you're thinking about building community, you have to start from the inside out. Start with making sure that everybody feels like they're part of your team. FPs, what's the hardest job to fill and rotates all the time? Child Watch. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe because they don't feel like
Our
part of
Child
the
Watch
team.
people at Lake Norman don't turn over. Stephanie's been there for 6 years because we make her feel like she's a part of the team, like she's leading it, like she's important. It's not just a job that she's filling.
It's also why they're a part of the Blue Carpet Experience checklist. Because they are part of the members' experience. And like Devin said, if you're in the mock camp, if you're bringing that 6th, 7th player off the bench and they don't know the play, then how are they going to help you? Your Child Watch team members have to know the play. Even if they only work 2 camps a week, right? FPs, I know the payroll hurt there. But do you feel like you have a weak camp where you're not closing members, where you don't have your A team out because there are just a couple part-time people to give our A team a relief? Does anybody feel that way? Yeah? Let's not do that.
I've said this for years, right? You'll get what you tolerate. And whatever standard that you set is the standard that you hold. And so if you're setting standards and then you're accepting less than that, well, that's on you as a leader. And I think it's such a great point that togetherness, inclusion, this community starts inside. I've made this mistake, and I would hate to see you guys do it. And I caught it in time before it became existential. But from 2016 till 2021, my main focus, if I had 10 things in a day, 1 through 9, would be make sure that we are building community amongst the franchise partners and their teams, and we need to do everything within our human power to make sure that these individuals and their teams that have invested into this company, that they realize their ROI, that they realize that they realize my fiduciary responsibility I take seriously to get them to the next level. I did that and overlooked my 62 people internally and didn't pay enough attention to what was going on internally. Okay? Caught it in my end of the year December revelation when I go away for a week and a half and just think about all the things I'm screwing up on and then dial it into one thing that is going to move the needle the most. To me, that was a recommitment to my team. That is the people that are closest to me. I'm close with a lot of our franchise partners. The people that need to be closest to me are the people that are working inside of that office every single day. As 65 leaders, they got to be treated like one. I've got to pour into them. I've got to make sure I always know what's going on. I've got to be able to ask them their visions and their why and be able to articulate those things back to them. And I was not doing that because I overlooked being out in the field, being at that second ring, right? Because it's Morgan and Devin, and then HQ team, and then franchise partners teams, and then members families. That's the way that I look at it. And if I'm not at the nucleus making sure that that's the tightest ship possible, then that's going to trickle out all the way down to Dave, who's Susan, our newest member's family member. And we're not going to it's not as together as it could be, because at the very center of it, I have people that are discontent with the position they're in or whatever it might be, okay? And so that I'm being vulnerable because I know for a fact that you guys that are leading teams are doing that too, right? And we have to go back and we have to take that audit, and that whether you're leading the Child Watch team, the operations team, you're as a training manager, you're a franchise partner, you're a multi-unit franchise partner, doesn't matter. You have a team. It starts with leading yourself, but then that immediate team that's closest to you, they have to be, gotta be like relentlessly mentoring those people. Relentlessly mentoring them is a good way to put it. I was not relentlessly mentoring them. I was just mentoring them. It wasn't good enough. Sorry.
I think it's okay. I think you can think about the heat map that we talked about for mock camp as a leader as well. So how many of you actually have a same page meeting or a one-on-one dedicated time to talk with your leader or your manager?
Wait, do that again? Can I see that? Because I know we're being honest. I just want to gauge it. Okay.
So
Not a lot
how
of us.
often do you two sit down and talk? Like one-on-one intentional time. Not we're in the gym together all the time. We talk all the time, right? But intentional, scheduled time, right? That's that individual intensity. The individuals on our team need the same intensity that we provide to the individuals on the floor. And so if you as leaders or managers, this isn't just for the franchise partners in the room, right? Ops managers, lead trainers, training managers, you have people that report to you, that you lead, that you manage. So you should be having same page meetings with those people. And what we're looking for is 3 things. What do you need? These same page meetings are an opportunity for them to talk, not for you to talk. Should be an 80-20. 80% they're talking, 20% you're talking. What do you need? Do I need to help you make a decision? Do you need a resource you don't have? Do you need training that I haven't given you? What do you need to do your job well? What are you working on? What are your next 5 moves? Okay, that helps us make sure that we are aligning on priorities. So if they're working on things that don't help move the needle forward in the way that we want the gym to go, then that's a really quick way to realign and say, hey, I get that. I was thinking that this would be maybe a better way to go this week.
Can you tell me what you said for number 2 again?
Like, what are you working on next? What are your next 5 moves?
It's on the hub, right?
I think.
Yeah. This should be on the hub. Please double check on that.
I will.
We have
and
a
I'll
template, a
I'll
same
make
page
sure
template
all
for you guys.
of the franchise partners here get it
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank you.
And
This is a template that we actually use. Like I have one for my direct meetings, and it's filled out already before I have the meeting.
Yes, so your team member comes to these meetings with these issues filled out, hopefully in a shared document that you guys are looking at together, right? And then the last one is what ideas do you want to share with me, right? Because some people don't like being in a setting like this, right? They don't like raising their hand. They might think, they got their own head trash going on. That idea is dumb. I don't want to say it in front of a group. They're going to think it's stupid. But it's probably a really good idea. And so you want to give them the space to give you those really big ideas, even if they don't feel like saying it in a big group team meeting, okay? These should be scheduled times, 30 minutes. You only need 30 minutes every other week. 30 minutes every other week with your team members that report directly to you. That's the intensity that our individuals need. Make sense? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then we've got our groups. You've got your Child Watch team, you've got your BA, your ops team, you've got your trainer team, okay? They are where you set your goals. Trainers, do you have nutrition goals? Nutrition sales goals? Do you have focus meeting goals? BAs, do you have conversion goals? Right? Voucher goals? Loop Spark to-dos? Child Watch team members, we've got lesson planning. How many of you knew that we actually have a first day card for Child Watch for new kids that come in for their first day? It's on the hub. There's a Child Watch first day card. You can search for it. So almost nobody's using it. It's a really awesome resource.
That's the one where we fill it out.
Yeah, it's
Tommy, Tommy comes in.
I played with Jimmy today, and we did blocks, and I can't wait to come back tomorrow. I actually took this I owned a dog daycare for 10 years, and when a new dog came in, we would take their picture and make a little card and say who they played with, and we love to play fetch and all this stuff. So we just adapted this concept for Child Watch. Because how many of you, if you were a mom, would hang that on your fridge? Right?
Or dad.
And then
a dad would. I'd like to hang that stuff on the fridge too.
Sorry, Dad.
I'm a good dad.
Sorry, dads. You'd hang it on your fridge, right? And then your girlfriend, your friend would come over and they'd be like, what's that? Oh my God, I just started this new gym. They gave Jimmy this card on his first day. Like I was just thinking he'd sit in front of the TV and I'd pick him up after a camp. But they played with him and he met this friend and he wants to go back tomorrow. He wants to go back tomorrow. Right? So you can hold your team accountable to doing those kinds of things. That can be their goals. So think about your individual teams, right? Your Child Watch team, your BA team, your training team. Let's give them goals. Okay, let's make sure 80% of our new trials that bring in a new kid get a first day card. Let's close at, what's everybody's conversion goal for winter promo? 60%, I love it, yes. All right.
100, but 60 is acceptable.
We can't all be Devin all the time.
Well, I can never close 100% of people though. But I was always striving to. I was not gonna be like, oh, well, those two people, I'm not going to close them anyway. I still tried just as hard. They just said no. Yeah.
Trainers, what's your focus meeting goal?
100 a month.
Every member once a month. Yes, girl. Do it. It's a goal.
It's good.
It's a goal. It's a goal. I would challenge you, if you don't have a focus meeting goal, 50% of your available focus meetings should be booked. I agree, but if you don't have any goal at all, let's start somewhere.
I think we got 30% in rotation, like constant members, like 30.
I don't mean 50%, I don't mean 30 of your membership. I mean trainers. Of your available time for focus meetings, 50% of that time should be booked. Minimum. Minimum, baseline. That's a baseline, right? Mod up, let's say 75, right? Okay. And then camps, our whole team gets cues. And that is this is where we want the gym to go. That's the vision, franchise partners, right? Of where do we want to go this year? Lindsay, how many members do you want in Elizabeth this year? 450. That's the camp's cue. The whole team is working towards 450 members. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay.
And this doesn't just show up randomly, right? It's same page. It's called the meeting pulse. So this is a burn operating system terminology. If you are just brand new and you're aspiring to learn about how we run the business, the burn operating system is the operating system of the business. It encompasses all the things. I'm not going to explain that right now because there's plenty of BLP stuff on that. But the meeting pulse is the part that Nicole's talking about. So to bring that home, by the way, I love the way you just did the IGC. I've never heard you do it that way before. It makes a lot of sense. I get it. But meeting pulse is going to be your same page meeting with your key leaders. And that's all of you, okay? So that's one of them. So your one-on-ones, your weekly level 10. So your weekly level 10 is where these scorecard things land, right? We've built a scorecard template. You guys should be using that. And if you want to iterate on top of it, you're welcome to iterate on top of it. But at the baseline, you should be using those things. So you have your level 10, and then you have your quarterly pulse.
Quarterly conversation.
Your quarterly conversation. That's the one-on-one thing. Mm-hmm. Okay? So quarterly conversation is your performance, like traditional performance reviews, but you just have a quarterly conversation. There's a template for that. What?
Your quarterly conversation is just a conversation.
It's a
Shoots
traditional.
2 questions.
It's a traditional
What's
performance
working,
review
what's
that
not
we
working.
stop saying, "Hey, here's all the things you're doing wrong," and we just said 2 questions. You're correct, but it is a traditional, like what you guys had done in corporate America, performance reviews. It's that same thing, only the Burn Bootcamp way, of 2 questions, right? I'm trying to give them like hearing this for the first time. Then you have your quarterly team meetings where you're deciding your rocks for the next quarter. And then you have your annual planning. So that's the meeting pulse, right? And so making sure that you have those things dialed in is going to be how all this stuff, you guys have heard the book Traction that we follow. This is how you get traction, is by following the meeting pulse and making sure that unless somebody is dying or you have a wedding to be at, like that's the only times that you're canceling this. Like, I don't care if you're in Aruba, like, get it done. Don't skip it. Because this is the togetherness that you're talking about. This is the structure to the togetherness that you need.
This is how you build community within your team. Because we can't build community within our membership base if we don't even have the community started in our team. And we have to make sure that we have the right people in the right seats to have a strong team. And so that's where we use these tools, these one-on-one conversations, these quarterly conversations, level 10 meetings, to identify if we don't have the right people in the right seats. And we have that opportunity then to either help, if they're the right person, right, they align to our core values, and they get it, want it, and have the capacity to do it. Has anybody heard that term, get it, want it, capacity to do it? It means you understand what your role is. You understand the pace of Burn Boot Camp, right? We don't do things slowly here, do we? No. You want to be here. You bleed blue, right? How many of you really, truly know what bleed blue means in your heart? That's want it. That's want it. But then you also have the capacity to do it. And so that means you have the time. You have the intellect. You have the emotional capacity to do it and show up. And you've got to make sure that everybody on your team has those things. And that's the right person. But we also have to make sure they're in the right seat. Right? So if you have somebody on your BA team who doesn't like to ask people to join the community, then they're probably not in the right seat. Is there a place in the gym that we can put them that's a better fit? Not put them, that sounds like we're moving them like a chess piece.
Nope, you go here.
No, you come over here. But is there a better opportunity for them in the gym, you know, where they would feel more comfortable? It doesn't have to be child watch, you know, it doesn't have to be as a trainer. Maybe they prefer more back office things. Can they work on schedules? Can they do other things, right? But it has to fit a business need, okay? FPs, it has to fit a business need. Once you get the right people in the right seats on your team and you follow these meeting pulses, you build that community internally. All right, so what do we do to build it externally? What comes next? How do we build it, once we have our teams locked in, now how do we build it on the floor? Blue carpet experience. Front door, high fives. A lot of the stuff Devin talked about in mock camp. Okay, what else?
Introducing new members to OGs.
Yes?
Your marketing message, the top of the funnel vibe that you put out in the world, what you say about the brand, how you, what copy you're writing. There's multiple agencies that do some of our copywriting, and there's some of them that I don't agree with. We're looking for 12 ladies who want to lose weight fast. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, honestly, like, why is that what we're saying? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Excuse my language. But it's like, that's not our vibe, right? Is that our vibe? Is that going to bring the people in that we really want to be here? Here, our vibe is, hey, this is going to be really hard and long. You're going to have to show up every day. It's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done, but you're going to be the best you've ever done because of it. That's our message, the truth, right? And then when we do it together, you come for the workout, you stay for the community. But 12 people, how fast do you want to lose 12 pounds? You know, sign up now. It's like they're walking in and you've been marketing them a taco, and then they walk in your place and it's a hamburger, and they're like, wait, I thought you were serving tacos, not hamburgers, and they're confused. And if you remember my little equation up there, it was clarity plus urgency equals confidence. So if they're confused, more or less confident. So as we are looking at the top of the funnel message, top of the funnel means that all the things you're putting out to the masses, right? Just to be clear, you look at the top of the funnel, your highest level of communication to the most amount of people. What are you saying? Like, are we on brand standard, right? I don't see that all the time. So guard against that, right? Guard against that, because you don't want people to be confused when they walk in here and say, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. Or get the wrong people who just want to lose 12 pounds real fast, and they're not going to join anyway. But that's part of it, right? It's externally goes all the way up to the top of the funnel, and what you're saying about the brand as well.
But then in the gym, the two fundamentals really are blue carpet experience and focus meetings. Whenever an FP comes to me and says, I have a nutrition problem, the two things I'm going to look at are blue carpet experience scores and focus meetings. How many are you having, and how are you delivering your feedback? So if you are not using the blue carpet experience assessments on FranConnect, I'd highly recommend you start doing that. The reason I like it better than the paper or the Excel version is you can capture the feedback loop a little bit better. You can take pictures, and you can make comments inside that. But most importantly, I can see it too. And so if Bridget and I want to have a conversation about a particular trainer or a particular BA or a camp that we just aren't closing members in, I can pull up the last blue carpet experience checklist for that camp and say, well, I don't know what's going on. We got a 98 on this BCE. So then we need to maybe look at, okay, what does the feedback loop say? How many of you guys are struggling to do regular feedback loops? And I don't want, words are hard. I don't mean make them happen often. Like, we get in a routine, we make them happen. But how many of you feel like you're saying the same things over and over again? How do you break out of that? Feeling like you're saying the same thing over and over again.
Ask open-ended questions.
That's one way. What are you asking? In a feedback loop, what are you asking?
For example, say you have a trainer that just can't end camp on time and get to their focus meetings. Hey, is there a way I can help you end camp on time so you can make it to your focus meetings?
That's a little bit of a leading question, I would say. You're looking for them to answer a certain way. What I think I would tweak that a bit and say, what's stopping you from ending camp on time? Okay, what's stopping you? But also, what did we talk about when we first sat down about how close you all are? Come do BCEs with each other. FPs, get together, schedule days where somebody from your gym comes to somebody else's gym and does a feedback loop with your trainers, with your whole team, right? There's got to be a benefit to having this many gyms in this area.
Right.
Lean on each other.
Just to, before you move on to another point, just to talk a little bit about my experience, because I don't know how many of you know this, but I'm very in tune with what's going on at the unit level, because we own, we just put lots of money out in Salt Lake City, and we've owned Lake Norman, and we've owned Flower Mound, and we've owned West Boca, and West Nashville, and Mount Juliet, and West Chase, Florida, and we've owned 15 gyms total. And so the practicality of having these meetings kind of works like this, right? It's the first principle that we've aligned on is that as leaders, we must invest into our people. That's the most important investment we can make outside of the investment into ourselves. And first it's us, and then it's into our people. Those are the people that you would expect to be on a normal cadence. Life happens, you've got lots of people are in and out. Well, thank the Lord that we have virtual technology nowadays, because now you can hold those meetings virtually, and you can have people in person, and you can have a hybrid, okay? Does everyone need to make every single time? Not everyone, but you do. You need to make everyone. I don't care if it's just you. Show up and go through the motions, because that cadence, that commitment, your team's going to see that, right? And they're going to emulate your commitment. They're going to mirror your commitment to this. And so I get the payroll practicality. I get the keep people, I understand why it's difficult to get, we're trying to get our 6 gyms in Salt Lake City all together every week. Doesn't happen, okay? It doesn't ever happen. But we have the virtual meeting that we record it, we send it out, and they are expected to then be a part of that. They're expected to listen to it and be in a line. My key people are expected to be there. That is, they're a part of their job. They're expected to be there. It is not extra. I'm not paying them extra. If there's hourly people that I'd like to be there, I will pay them. That's part of the investment into this, okay? One of the biggest indicators of somebody's ambition is if they're showing up unwilling and not asking about getting paid. That to me is like, oh, you want to be here, really want to be here, right? But that's not the reality. The reality is you do have to pay people for their time. We want to respect people's time. So your key people have to be there, okay? You have to be there. And you have an unwavering, relentless commitment to the mentorship of those key people, and then you're making that available to the entire community, to your entire internal community. And so this is the practicality of it all. Like, I had a meeting where there was 13% of people that were supposed to be on the call, that were on the call. It was late December, and people already had stuff. I'm like, good, I'll show up, and I'll be with those 13% of people. We'll record it, we'll send it out, and it was perfect, right? So don't let excuses, or obstacles is a better way to put it, right? Because those are all valid excuses. Don't let obstacles get in the way. And the number one thing is, like, invest into the people. You have to invest into the people. This ideology of, like, I want world-class training, but then I don't want to pay for it. I'm like, guys, I can't do that. I can't give you world-class training, and then you ask me to do all these things, make it world-class, and then you don't want to pay for it. Like, you have to you have to invest into these people, right? They need to know that you have their back, and you're willing to put them in places. Like, we have a whole budget at HQ. We have a pretty good budget for just extracurricular, educational opportunities.
Professional development.
Professional development opportunities, like a whole budget for that, right? And it's not a huge one comparison to everything else, but it's the thought, it's the anticipation. I know now that I'm going to send somebody to a regional training and then I want them to get to the EOS conference this year or something like that. And you know your 4 key people need to do those 2 things. Account for that and budget in that, in the beginning of the year, right? And that's a franchise partner thing and a budgeting thing, but just to throw that little wrinkle in there, it's like, I understand what it's like at the unit level to have these meetings and then to have all the different obstacles of why we couldn't get together. But it's just like, are you gonna listen to all those things and say, oh yeah, you're right? Or are you gonna say, you're right, and we can still accomplish it in this way. It might not be perfect, but it's better than nothing, and definitely better than skipping these meetings, right? And following the level 10 structure, this is really what I'm talking about, level 10 meetings, will make everybody feel professionally developed. We just hired a new person in Burn Media. I do a Burn Media level 10. Her name is Lynn. She came in and she said, I've never been in a meeting that's been this efficient. Like, we got so much done in that hour. I've been in like 20 meetings in my other company in a row that didn't get accomplished what you guys just accomplished in an hour. Boom, perspective for her. Now she's like, oh, I'm in the right place. I'm in the right seat. Oh, better strap on and get going. These people are serious. So there is definitely an effect, a leadership effect of the top person's commitment to those level 10 meetings. And I just wanted to say that because practically it's easy to say that we can do the meeting pulse. Practically, there's some wrinkles that get thrown in there at the unit level.
Franchise partners especially, if you find that your team is struggling with this, the meeting pulse, if you don't feel like your level 10s are efficient, this is where my team would really love to help. We are willing to sit in on a level 10. We're willing to run a level 10 so that you can see it. We're willing to, come down and run a team training like this that's just for your team. So whatever you're struggling with and what we talked about today, please bring that to your FBC and let us help you, iron all of those kinks out so that you can build this community internally with your team. Good? All right, what questions do you guys have on all of this information that we just dumped on you? Because we could talk about this for like 4 hours, the 2 of us.
Anything?
None.
Thoughts, clarity, questions?
We laid it out so well. We have no questions.
I have one.
Okay.
Focus meetings.
Yes.
So obviously they're very important, and we've been really focused on focus meetings. But what's the best way to give feedback to the trainers that maybe are not following 100% the burn standard? That's JV's task to make sure they are. But is it sitting in and like listening, and then giving them feedback, just like feedback loop, or do you have suggestions?
My suggestion would be to have a training team meeting where you guys are practice repping focus meetings. And that means that 2 of your trainers one should be giving the focus meeting and one should be the member. And when you guys are doing practice reps, show up authentically as yourself. If you are the practicee, right, the person who's being the guinea pig, so to speak, right? So if I were to sit here and have a focus meeting with JB right now, like, I would show up as authentically as myself and tell him truly, like, what I wanted to work on. But at the end, all of your trainers, you're sitting around like this, then the trainers give feedback to JB on, this is what I would have done differently. This is what, I really liked. I think I would have phrased this differently. You missed this, right? You run the true feedback loop. When I was going through coach training, we used to do this. I would have to coach somebody in my class and then get feedback from the whole class on how I coached them. And really, that's just what we're doing here, is doing a focus meeting and getting feedback in that moment from it. You can also ask your members. Like the OGs, you just had a focus meeting with me. Cut it 5 minutes short and be like, how did I do? Right? You have focus meetings or members that you trust, where you can say, how was that for you? Did you get what you needed out of that? Right? Would you like my feedback on our focus meeting?
Yes.
Okay. How do you think it went?
I think it went really well. It's very hard for me not to come off cocky, but I think I got it.
Okay.
So I just try to be humble, but I think I did really good. I think I did so good, I ran 1 and 2 with you because I'm that efficient.
Would you like
I love it.
would you like my feedback?
Yes, ma'am.
You did not run number 1 with me. What did you find out about me that is motivating me to accomplish what I need to accomplish?
I definitely ran number 1 with you because the very first thing I asked you was tell me about the vision that you have for yourself, and that's in focus meeting number 1.
Okay.
And what you want your life to look like.
Okay.
That's in focus meeting
Okay.
number 1 question number
Okay,
1.
what else did
Hold
I
on,
do?
time out. This is perfect. This is what a feedback loop should be. If you say, is that fair? Which you didn't do. But if you say,
Well, I
is
wasn't
that,
done yet.
well, this type of healthy disagreement, you see that? That's exactly what you're trying to get to. Because unless you get there, there's no pinpointing where the issue or the opportunity was.
Mm-hmm.
So continue, but I just want to like be the narrator of this as they're kind of doing it because it's
Yeah.
really interesting.
And the second question in focus meeting number 1 is anything limiting you? And I asked you that as well.
Okay.
I ran focus meeting number 1.
What happened after that?
After what exactly?
After you asked me those 2 questions.
You told me a little bit about the vision that you had for yourself, and to be completely, I really wasn't buying it. I wanted you to tell me more.
Then why didn't you ask me? Because you wanted to get me on the InBody.
No, not necessarily. You said something about that. That's why we did that. So you wanted a baseline for yourself. So I would have a baseline. So I just ran through it with you.
Okay, I'm going to pause here. Do you see how him and I have very different perspectives on how this focus meeting went? Okay, so if you guys are not practicing your focus meetings with your trainers, with each other, can there be a lot of misperception on how well you're doing focus meetings? Your focus meeting was fine, huh? It was fine.
Fine also means you got a lot of room to grow.
I did
That's
not,
Nicole's way of-
however, open up to him.
Yeah.
Okay? He does not know what really is truly motivating me. Now, what he did do after the focus meeting is push my ass real hard on the floor afterwards, and that was amazing.
So, just to kind of play off of this, is whose opinion really matters in this equation? Hers. It's the member's equation. So she
Mine.
heard the member's perspective. So if she doesn't feel like she got what she needed out of that focus meeting, it matters that you're checking the boxes, but at the end of the day, if you're not getting across what you need to her and understanding where she's coming from, the same thing with the camp feedback loop, right? At the end of the day, it matters what the members feel and what their perception is, not what, yes, again, your opinion matters, but if they're not getting what they need and they told you that they didn't get what they need, then something's missing. There's a disconnect there, right?
Their perspective is what matters.
Yeah.
Perception is reality.
Yeah. There's something you said a couple days ago, and I'm not going to do it justice, but there's a difference between checking a box and actually doing what's in the box. Okay? And so what you're hearing JB say is, I did focus meeting number 1. But from my perspective, it didn't feel like focus meeting number 1. Because there was InBodies and there was conversation about coming to leg day and getting enough water and stuff like that. And that felt very, so first of all, does everybody know what we're saying with focus meeting 1, 2, 3? We all know the things. What are they?
Break the pattern. Build the plan.
Uh-huh.
Somebody got number 3?
Starts with a D.
Deep dive.
Deep dive. Deep dive. It felt very break the pattern to me. We were talking about what's standing in my way. We were looking at my InBody scan results. There were highlighters, right? And I did a focus meeting with another gym, never stepped on the InBody once. It was a conversation, right? JB's was a conversation. I'm really laying him out on the floor, guys.
It's okay.
I really am. He's going to kick my ass in camp this week, by the way. But I want you guys to understand that getting that fresh perspective on what you're doing is so important. And the camp is not the only thing that we can feedback loop on. So practice focus meetings, practice sales conversations, practice handoffs for child watch, right? There are so many things in this gym that we can practice that are fundamentals. It's getting kids into child watch, it's getting people onto the floor, it's getting them in focus meetings, and it's getting them like signed up, sold. contracts, retail, nutrition, right? But when Devin likes to use sports references, right? If you aren't practicing the fundamentals all the time, then you're not going to be in the Super Bowl, right? The Eagles, fly, Eagles, fly. What? Are not going to make it to the Super Bowl this year if they're not running in and out drills, if they're not practicing that snap 8,000 times, if they're not running with those things that they have to push all the time, right? Whatever those are. Sleds. Thank you. I was a soccer player and a softball player. Yeah. We didn't push sleds. So you guys have to practice those fundamentals, and it shouldn't be in camp. It shouldn't be in the focus meeting. It should be on the floor like we are right now, in this sacred time to learn and grow. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, thank you.
You're welcome. What else?
Can you give me some pointers on how to build that community with my team? Like, I feel like the same people show up for everything, and how can I, without incentivizing with food, or, I mean, it's an investment, so I don't mind buying food, but how to get our, like, I feel like we have a great community of members, and just getting that same type of community with my staff.
Have you gone out and have you invited them to your house? Have you gone out and done a night out that doesn't cost a lot of money? Have you been able to pour into them and build those relationships outside of the context of the four walls of the gym? Or every time you're meeting with them, is it inside of the gym? Have you gone above and beyond to show them like, hey, I'm going to give you opportunities outside of the gym to connect with me?
I'm going to start even sooner, though.
As I could, I mean, but even when we do like member stuff, I mean, not member stuff, employee stuff, it's still the same.
So I'm going to start even more basic. Have you asked the people who don't come why?
Most of the time is most of the part-time staff, or I haven't asked them. Most of the time they'll tell me it's their kids, which I get, or they're part-time.
Okay.
And
Even our part-time people can still feel like they're a part of our community. When do you feel like you've truly connected with them as their leader? Do you know what they want out of their burn journey?
no,
That's where I would start. The one-on-one conversation. What do you need? What can I help you with? What do you want out of this? Right, what Devin was talking about just a little bit ago. How many of us have actually been asked, what do we want this job to do for us?
okay, and then if I do those things, I'm still getting like they're still not.
Then they might not be the right person.
The Los Angeles Lakers have 12 spots on their team.
But they got players who fill those spots. Like, those top five are still there.
If you can't fill the 12 spots, look in the mirror. Because there's a lot of people that want those 12 spots. How many people want those 12 spots on the Lakers? All, you know what I mean? You have to build a desirable team. You have to.
So I think where we,
You know when they say right people in the right seat? I can't fill all the seats until I get those right people. I'll be burned out. So how can, you know what I'm saying? Like, how can
always be recruiting. Always be recruiting. So
Well, there's a layer of it too, though, that you're not allowed to get burnout. You're an entrepreneur. Like, you just don't get. But I'm being honest with you. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to get to the end of your candle, your end of your wick, and you're going to have to figure out how to get a new one. Like, that's just the nature of being an entrepreneur. And I know you were corporate America and very successful, and you'd make this transition. The one difference between corporate America and entrepreneurship is you don't get to complain about capacity ever, because it all starts and stops with you. And if you're on a team inside of a corporation and you're not working for you, because every ounce of effort you put in is a direct correlation to how your life gets better. If you're working, there's companies where you can put in 20 years and then they lay you off, right? Like, you can get burnout in that scenario when you don't have control. But if you have control, you also have control of your ability to stay burnt out, right? And yeah, there's times where you get exhausted. I understand that, right? But you can't go to the level of like, I can't do this because I'm burnt out. Get in the child watch room and work that child watch camp, because you have to. Now, I don't want you to do that by any means, but then that's like, okay, well, am I creating a team that's desirable?
Yeah, I used to say I'm the only person that can't quit or be fired. And so, like, you know, I could quit here tomorrow. He can't. He can never quit. And I can never fire him, right? You're in the same boat. But I think the way that you prevent that burnout, because as an entrepreneur, I understand it's going to happen, right? You've got to have the mental fortitude to keep going through that burnout. But the solve is to always be recruiting. Always have a cache of people, even if it's, your gym's right near a Chick-fil-A, right? Okay. So, I know where all the Chick-fil-A's are, y'all. All of them. So,
half of our staff was working at Chick-fil-A now that Nicole's the manager. She's just recruiting all the Chick-fil-A people.
But seriously, what is the thing we know about people who work at Chick-fil-A?
They're trained well.
Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure, right? But they have phenomenal customer service at Chick-fil-A, right? If they don't, you're like, what's up with that Chick-fil-A?
They said thank you, how rude.
Right? Yeah. If you are getting your coffee in the drive-thru on your way to camp and you see somebody who is knocking it out in the drive-thru line, be like, hey, you ever want to come see what Burn's about? Let me know. Not as a member. You have got to recruit team members too, y'all. Like, it is just as hard to find team members sometimes as it is to find members. So you've got to always be recruiting. Always have an Indeed ad out for a trainer, a child watch, and a BA. Always. Not whether you have a seat to fill or not. Always have one out. And then always look in your community for people you see that are just absolutely fucking crushing it. And bring them in and say, I want you to be a part of my team. Because that's how you get good. I always say I can teach skill all day long, but I can't teach will. And so you've got to find the people who have the will. And if you need help with like interview questions or like how do I find out what that will is, connect with us and we'll get you sorted. We also just released a new people process as part of the operations manual reboot. So we do have a lot of like interview questions and stuff in that. If you haven't checked out the new version of the ops manual, I would highly recommend that you do that. What other questions?
Time we got?
We are over.
Okay.
By
No more
15
questions.
minutes. Let's go. Thank you for
Good.
being here. Did you guys get out of this what you needed?
Yes, this was beautiful.
Okay. Awesome.
It's nice to sit back, slow down, and just talk about it a little bit, isn't it? You take that and keep doing that at your units. Okay, keep doing that at your gyms. And I think the main thing here is like get on a cadence. Seems like we just really need to get on that meeting rhythm and that cadence. And you start doing that. That's the motion. Get the motion down, and then start going deep within that process.
If there are more things like this that you would like to talk about, different topics, let us know.
We're coming to Tega K soon, I
Coming
think.
to TK, I hear we're coming to Rock Hills. So like, let us know what you want to talk about when we come to your gyms. Or, there's nothing we like better than being here and doing this. And I will come do this 7 days a week rather than sit behind my computer and look at Excel spreadsheets. So please, give me topics to come talk about, y'all, okay?
I'll come with you and annoy you the whole time. How about that?
We're like brother and sister over here.
We're doing good, Nicole. We're doing great.
Yeah.
We're doing great.
Okay.
All right, 2 claps on 2. I love your excitement. 2 claps on 2, 1, 2.